Professor Felipe. Yes.
Sorry for my delay.
Hello, Felipe.
Hello, Felipe.
You
Hello,
apologize.
Felipe.
Oh, we we are very happy in this moment. Of course, this is a very special session for your presence, of course, for your contributions. I am really happy. Of course, the professor Emmanuel Comico too, and we got a real strong seminar webinar.
Yes.
Success to all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Professor Felipe. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think that it is time to begin. Yes. Good morning, afternoon, and even depending on where you are joining us from today.
Sorry, Professor. You
Yeah.
are record. You are record.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, I will check before we continue. Yes. There you go. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much to be here. We are going to begin. Yeah. Good morning, afternoon, or even depending on where you are joining us from today. My name is Emmanuel Komikunako, Director of Parfum and leader of MILCities Initiative in Canada and in Africa. I am delighted to welcome you all to this special webinar titled How to Make Leaders with Indicators and Metrics of Major and Information Literacy Cities and Goals on the 2030 Agenda. Today, we are honored to have with us Professor Felipe Chiba Ortiz, the international co-leaders of the Innovation Group of UNESCO Mil Alliance and coordinator of the International Center for Innovation and Development of MILCities from University from Sao Paulo. Alongside an estimated panel of experts who will share their insight on the topic of growing importance worldwide. The webinar addresses the critical intersection of leadership development, MILCities indicators, and the global objective set forth in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In a world where misinformation, digital inequity, and major manipulation increasingly threaten our societies, the need for informed and capable leader has never been more pressing. Our focus today is on exploring how to use specific indicator and metrics to evaluate the success of MIL initiative, aligning them with the broader goals of the 2030 Agenda, and ultimately empower the next generation of leaders to navigate this challenge. This is not just about major success, but also about driving impactful change within our cities and communities. During the session, we will delve into key questions such as what are the core indicators and metrics that should be used to assess the effectiveness of MIL initiative in our urban setting? How can we ensure that the development of MILCities leaders is aligned with the goals of the 2030 Agenda? And how can technology and data science be leveraged to track progress towards achieving these ambitious goals? We have a rich leap up of panelists who will share their perspective, and I encourage you to actively participate by engaging with the question posed and sharing your thoughts in the chat. We want to thank every of our speakers for being here and contributing their expertise to this important dialogue. I would also like to thank you, our attendees, for joining us and being a part of this collaborative effort to build more resilient, informed, and sustainable cities all over the world. Without further ado, I will now hand over my collaborator, my director, Professor Felipe Chiba, to guide us into the heart of this discussion. Thank you so much, and I look forward to an insightful and provoking session. Professor Felipe, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for your words, or your kind words. Of course, this is a special session. We talk today with our special guest to speak on the topic how to make leaders with indicators and metrics on MILCities and goals of the 2030 agenda in Africa, Latin America, Caribbean, Asia, Europe, and Canada. This is a very special moment for us. Dear friends, colleagues, and audience, welcome everyone in this special day. We are honored to have here as distinguished speakers and colleagues sharing your valuable insights on this important topic. I am very happy to be here. I repeat again, I want to welcome everyone together, Dr. Emmanuel Comico, leader of the MILCities in Canada and Africa. Of course, we got some questions here. The main question here is the webinar the main question is what kind of leader we need to implement MILCities initiative and 2030 agenda. The panelists got the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Felipe, for your introduction speech. We are very happy to have you today. We have Professor Min Yang from China. We have Professor Erika Sampson from Jamaica. We have Professor Feliz Ortega from Spain. We have Mrs. Daniela Calderon Potter from Mexico. We have Dr. Professor Adriana Brake from Brazil. We have Professor Dinesh Babu from India. We have Professor Carolina Escudero from USA. And we have Mr. Wallace Chikunge from Kenya. We'll begin in this order. First of all, we give the floor to Professor Ming Yang, but before we do it, let me present her. Professor Ming Yang is a researcher at the United Nations University Institute in Macau, dedicated to fostering a sustainable and peaceful future through knowledge generation and sharing. Previously, she worked at UNESCO's social and human science sector, advancing the 2030 agenda and contributing to SDG 5, 10, 11, and 7. She led the global and regional initiative to empower youth, encourage gender-focused social inclusion, and promote peace education. Professor Min also explored ethical issues such as intelligence artificial and climate change ethics. Her interests include media and information literacy, international communication, and youth engagement in sustainable development. Professor Min Yang, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome. And I didn't expect that I will be the first speaker, but that's my honor. Okay, can I share my screen?
Yes.
Do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, good morning. I suppose that Good morning, everyone, and good evening, maybe, if you are at the same time zone with me. So thank you for the introducing and inviting. And my name is Ming, and I'm Chinese. I'm from China. I think I'm very happy to join this very important and meaningful discussion today, because I think this topic is very, very foresight and very useful and helpful for the future generation. So since I'm from China, so I suppose that I can bring some Chinese perspective to this topic. So I put the topic as you see on the slide: how is media and information literacy and city discussed in China? The reason why I chose this topic is because I think, as we all know, that the concept of media and information literacy has been evolving, and also it has been changed due to the different contexts, including the social, historical, cultural factors. So if we want to understand how this concept has been applied or developed in some countries or in some certain areas, it's better to understand the historical stories. So that's where I started. So we know that UNESCO proposed the concept of media and information literacy in 2013. And before 2013, if we look back, then in China, research-related literacy were very diverse back then. Especially media literacy originated from communication study, and information literacy originated from library discipline grew very rapidly in their respective fields. But a few of studies also used the term back in 1999, which is very early time, used the term media and information literacy for teenagers' media education, where some researchers they consider MIL, or in China we call it MIL, as an aspect of media education at the micro level. So back to the historical time, the MIL, this term, was considered as a part of media education, which was proposed very, very early in China. So if we continue looking at the development after 2013, here I want to particular point 2012, because the term MEO was introduced to mainland China by Hong Kong researchers. But this term still focused more on the ability of understanding media information or media messages or media content, not the in a narrow sense, but not the media in a broader sense that we talk about later. So after the proposal of integrated concept of meal by UNESCO, and in 2014, the Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue Week conference was organized in Tsinghua University, which is located in Beijing, the capital city of China. And during the conference, there was a report titled 2014 UNESCO Global Media and Information and Intercultural Academic Report was released. And later on, Wuhan University, another Chinese university, conducted a survey about media and information literacy for university undergraduates. So both two actions laid a foundation for Chinese people to debate or to discuss the media and information literacy. And also inspired by the UNESCO advocacy, researchers officially used the integrated concept framework of MEAL, and then they gradually adopted the comprehensive literacy idea that UNESCO advocated. And also at the same time, researchers continue discussing other multiple literacies, but among all of them, digital literacy, internet literacy, and media literacy gain more attention than other literacies. And they also adopted a multidisciplinary approach to study MEAL in a broader sense. As I mentioned in the very beginning, they also considered the political, economic, and social factors when talking about media and information literacy. And since then, media and information literacy has become an independent or a new research field in China. So if we look back, look at the statistics in 2020, which is not far away from here, and researchers collected 775 meal-related papers within 1 year. So if you look at the graphics on my slide, and you can see still researchers talk about information literacy, media literacy, internet literacy, digital literacy, computer literacy, or other literacies. They talk about literacy issues separately, and they also mention the literacies under the combined framework of media and information literacies. But among all different types of literacies, information literacy and media literacy predominate. And Chinese researchers, they like focusing on different people of different ages and or in different fields. So if you look at the 775 collected articles, and university students graduate and the PhD students, they gain more attentions compared to the other groups of people. And then researchers pay more attention to those group of students for their literacy or competencies requirement and acquisition. So if we talk back to the topic of today, and we're talking about the meal and the city. So in China, I think one of the very important feature is Chinese researchers, they like putting people centered at the heart when talk about meal. So in the academic discourse, researchers talk about urban or rural populations and media literacy. For example, back to 2004, researchers already started the survey on media literacy of China urban populations, and they took Beijing and Shanghai, the very most developed city, as an example to discuss what is the level of urban populations, what is the level of literacy urban population has, and what type of skills or competencies they lack when facing the challenges along with the social development. And they also pay attention to the rural vitalization strategy and plus the media literacies, especially they focus on the migrant workers who leave their country, leave their village, and move to the city and to continue their life or find a new job. And also, the researchers, they focus on the migrant children's level of media literacy and information literacy. And another interesting topic for Chinese researchers is about digital divide between urban and rural areas in China. But if we look at the practical settings, and there are several development, the first one is the number of laws or legislation were formulated for promoting multiple types of literacies since 2000. For some legislations, they are about education field and they are about cybersecurity issues, and then the main purpose is to strengthen the people's abilities or competencies to address the challenges brought by digital technologies. And then Chinese cities, some of Chinese cities, they join different city networks, but I feel that it lacks of synergies and communication. For example, we have different cities like Changsha City. It joined UNESCO Creative Cities Network as a media art city, and the Nanjing City, it joined also UNESCO Creative City Network as a literature city. And these two cities cooperated with each other to organize an international youth forum, which is the global level forum to promote I would say, the youth development in the media art field and the literature field. And then we also have the learning cities in China advocated for a long time. For example, Suzhou City in China, Nanjing City, and also Beijing are nominated as UNESCO Global Learning Cities. And here you can easily find that Nanjing City joins the different network. But however, I feel that as a creative city and a learning city, how does Nanjing cooperate within Nanjing itself and also cooperate with other cities in China? This must be a very interesting topic to explore further. And also China, some cities in China recently that focus on developing as a smart cities. Taking Macau, the city that I am living, for example, and Macau issued a strategic plan to be a smart city in the future. And the smart city, the purpose is to, the smart city's purpose is highly driven by advanced technologies. For example, and Macau lies on 4 core elements to develop as a smart city. The first one is e-pay, electronic payment, and the second one is public security, especially applying the facial recognition technology and to ensure that people can live in a safe and a secure place. And then the health service could be delivered more smoothly with the help of digital technologies. And also Macau wants to develop a smart waste bin system and to further develop its transportation system. So all of those are under the framework developing smart city for Macau. So you can see that in China, we already have a very good foundation of talking about topics under the framework of MIL. So I feel that when we want to introduce MIL city, I mean combine MIL and city, these two definitions together. We want to introduce this definition and also we want to assess it and introduce it to the practical settings. Before doing all of those things, we must have a very good understanding what MIL city is and what MIL is, because I feel the understanding of MIL is the core of developing MIL city. And the understanding really depends on the development of city and also the development of country. And sometimes this interpretation of concept is highly or closely linked to the social and the historical and cultural perspective. So as I mentioned that the previous debates lays a good foundation, and currently combination of MIL and the city in China is not very much communicated and discussed. And the internal objective to develop a MIL city is to better align the existing city development strategy. As I mentioned, for example, Macau has already issued the smart city development strategy. How can we better align this smart city strategy with MIL city concept is the key issue for us to address towards building a sustainable future for the citizens. And also continue the previous debate and also for the future development. And I think we need to put citizens at the heart, and the eternal purpose is to empower citizens with required competencies and build cities they are living. Yeah, so that's all my sharing for today, and hopefully that it can inspire our thoughts.
Thank you so much, Professor Min Young, for your excellent presentation. Yeah. Professor Felipe, you have
Thank
the
you
floor
so much.
for your comment.
Of
Yes.
course. Thank you so much, Professor Comey. I like so much of this presentation. We got here many highlights about MILCities and the history of MILCities in China. I would like to comment some ideas. For example, the history is very important. The history of this framework in China. We got here one question, Professor Ming. Do you know the Professor Alice Lee from Hong Kong? She is a very important researcher about MILCities in China. Well,
Alice, do you mean Alice?
Alice Lee. Alice Lee.
I suppose I met her before in some conference, but I don't know. I don't remember which one.
No problem. No problem. No problem. We got here many highlights. For example, I like so much when you talk about Wuhan University. This is a very important point, a very focused point. You talk about it, political, economic, and social factors. Of course, this base is necessary to develop MILCities. You question your question. What competence we need in is different. The competence are different in the different countries, village, cities. Okay, and your contribution about learning cities, creative cities, and the history of these models in China is very important too. Another focus, metrics and indicators. We need metrics and indicators to evaluate cities, because without metrics and indicators, we got nothing. We need, of course, a new vision, a new qualitative vision, but we need metrics and indicators, parameters. But thank you so much again for your wonderful presentation, and go ahead.
Thank you, Professor Felipe, for your contribution. It is very important to share this information. We continue with our next speaker. I will only highlight that we have 7 minutes to be in time. Thank you so much for your understanding. Yeah, now we have Mrs. Erika Sanson. Mrs. Erika Sanson is a well-known public speaker specialized in innovation, digital transformation, artificial intelligence, and the future of the work. With over 25 years of experience in the enterprise software industry, she is an expert in integrating AI in Caribbean, focusing on the infrastructural, cultural, governmental, and commercial challenge of the fourth and fifth industrial revolution. Simons contributed to global technology initiative, including UNESCO's expert group on artificial intelligence ethics and its artificial intelligence expert without borders. She is also involved in UNESCO's EVP working group on information accessibility and the IEEE Planet Positive 2030 campaign, and in a past chairwoman of IEEE Jamaica. Professor Erika Sanson, you have the floor.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on a second. I think I have it now. Let's see. Are you able to see this now? Let's see. All
Yes.
right. Great. Okay. Again, just thank you so much to Professor Felipe and also Professor Emmanuel for inviting me today to talk a little bit about the work that I've been doing over the past 5 years as it relates to artificial intelligence and the Caribbean. So, my work really began in 2019 after UNESCO, in 2019, working in the region to find out about artificial intelligence. And at the time, UNESCO had been working on a very important standard setting document, the Recommendation on the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, which was adopted in 2021 by all 193 member states of UNESCO. And this particular document is promoting ethical principles, advancing education and capacity building, and really facilitating international cooperation around shaping responsible and inclusive development of artificial intelligence. There's over 11 policy areas that the document highlights. And this was really the start of the work in the Caribbean that I began to do around artificial intelligence. Started back in 2020 when we began to work with the Caribbean AI Initiative, the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica, and the UNESCO Cluster Office for the Caribbean. And back in 2021, a policy paper was written and presented. Since that time, the policy paper now has been slated to be updated and will be released next month. And there has been updates to the paper, taking into consideration what's been happening around the pandemic, and also things like the release of ChatGPT. So we're coming out with an updated policy roadmap for 2024 next month. And really, the reason why I think in the Caribbean that we need to pay attention to this global AI opportunity is really because the global economic opportunity around AI is hard to miss. Today, it's over a $500 billion market. And just within the next 5 to 6 years, it's going to be a $2.7 trillion market. So for those nations in developing regions, the opportunity is hard to miss. And I would argue that we cannot miss this opportunity because of the 20 to 40% growth rates. And it's important that in the region, in the Caribbean, that we look to accelerating the adoption of AI to unlock the limitless opportunities that is available for Caribbean people around this particular technology. But a really important part of the equation is to understand what the threats are for AI. So we do know we have a number of threats. The opportunity is large, but the threats have to be dealt with. And in this case, we have, you can see a myriad of threats around misinformation and deep fakes. And of course, that could be used to spread misinformation, fake news, in the form of images, in the form of posts. And it's going to be difficult for citizens to be able to realize and to distinguish between what's real and fake content. And that might lead to the erosion of trust in the media and institutions. As well, there's concerns around privacy and that citizens may feel like they're losing control of their private information, and that some of this information could be used to deepen discrimination or treat citizens in an unfair manner. Job displacement also is a huge issue and a huge threat. And potential opportunity with AI. And so automation and AI-driven technologies can replace jobs, especially those jobs in sectors that have repetitive work, potentially like manufacturing or retail, and some finance professions and some administrative professions. And this could lead to large-scale job displacement. So these are all threats that citizens in our MILCities need to be aware of and need to figure out how to mitigate. And in order to bring some of these opportunities and threats together, the roadmap that we've created with UNESCO really asks the citizens in the region to focus on 4 key areas to develop policy, to develop their expertise and knowledge around. And that's around the culture and creativity of the people in the region. How can we use AI as a tool to exploit the culture and creativity and to really bring more opportunity to the region? And also in that opportunity, we have to think about the threats for things like copyright infringement and all the things that we know about AI in terms of copying creativity and culture. We also need to look around creating some new policies around governance and how these systems are going to be used. We talked about things like facial recognition, how AI will be integrated into the government. There's really not a lot on paper right now, so we're going to want to focus there. Upskilling and education is core to what we're talking about here in MILCities, and we definitely have to increase our education around the opportunity and threats associated with AI. And of course, climate change and other things related to resiliency are still continue to be a challenge in the region. So looking again at the opportunities that we can focus on AI, and resiliency and sustainability will be 2 key areas that we can focus and get some benefit out of. So the 4 policy areas in the region really give a focus on the areas that we think can give the biggest return on investment if we put some attention into developing policies that promote growth and protection of people. So here's the roadmap that will be coming out. As a part of the roadmap, we did a survey to the region and just to really find out what the knowledge was of people regarding AI, if they were familiar with any existing laws or policies, if they think that AI has the potential to bring opportunities for the region. And one of the most important things on this survey was that 98% of the people believe that there is a need for increased education and awareness among the citizens in the Caribbean about AI and its implications, both good and bad. So this presents an interesting opportunity and for us to focus on increasing media and information literacy in the Caribbean as it relates to artificial intelligence. So let's talk a little bit about what the importance of MIL leaders on AI. And really, we want to talk about these leaders helping everyone in the region to navigate and shape the evolving landscape around AI, ensuring that AI in the Caribbean region is used ethically, inclusively, and responsibility. And I think MIL leaders are an important advocate for this. And they can make sure that the citizens in the region are aware of the transparency, accountability, and the fairness that we need to have in these systems that we are implementing in the Caribbean. And studies from the MIT Media Lab discuss that growing threat of AI-driven misinformation and the role of these informed leaders in combating it. So MIL leaders are essential in educating the public on recognizing and countering those AI-generated misinformation, disinformation, which is going to be increasingly prevalent due to the advances that AI technologies are having, such as deepfakes. So indicators for MIL, I think Professor Min did a great job of talking about some of the indicators that they're using in China. And I think those indicators as well could be used in the Caribbean. I think the digital literacy rate, being able to understand in a metric the percent of the population that has access to basic digital skills, such as understanding how to use the internet, how to understanding things like digital privacy and digital hygiene, and how to really online navigate those online platforms. And we should be performing regular surveys and assessments in schools, in workplaces, in community centers to sort of get an understanding of what the digital literacy rates are. We also want to make sure that we have access to really good sources of information, and that there is a participation of a number of people in MIL programs. We need to also, as I just spoke about, increase the awareness of misinformation. And one of the metrics that we could use is really just maybe testing the population to see who can identify and report misinformation and disinformation. And we can do that as well through surveys where we're assessing awareness levels before and after our MIL campaigns. Keep going. All right, and so we know that we have an important role to play as cities are catalysts, and they really have a unique position given their proximity to the citizens and their ability to implement localized solutions. So we know that there is a role for MILCities to participate and to lead in public literacy campaigns, in AI and digital literacy campaigns, to be able to really promote the public use and access to resources in the public domain, such as libraries. There are a number of things that government and local officials can do as well to educate themselves. And just generally in all of our cities, we need to support local fact checking to make sure that our dis, and malinformation isn't spreading. Just wanted to connect it back to the SDGs, and we're looking at, of course, supporting, the quality education, our gender equality, and also decent work and economic growth that is a output we're looking for on AI, and really looking to see how we can use MILCities and the evangelism of AI to reduce the inequalities of the city, the citizens in those cities. So in conclusion, I just think that we need to continue the collaboration across the sectors and the countries and the regions. That's why seminars like this are just really important, so that we can begin to share what's happening in different parts of the world. And we want to be able to encourage and establish partnerships with other areas of the world to work on local development plans, to really invest in these leaders of the future, and to regularly assess whether or not we're being successful in our initiatives as it relates to MILCities. I just wanted to point out that UNESCO has a wonderful set of resources to support us as we look at artificial intelligence and creating MILCities around AI, standard setting instruments, capacity building documents. There's seminars and conferences for us to participate in, and research and publication, and these policy resources that we are creating. I just have some QR codes up here that's linking to the UNESCO resources. And Professor Emmanuel and Professor Felipe, that's the end of my presentation for today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Erika Sanson. Your presentation is very interesting. Yes, with many information. Yeah, you have highlight the opportunities of intelligence artificial and the threat parts of this new technology we have today in our society. Yes, as the time it has gone away. Professor Felipe, I don't know if you have something to add before we go to the next speaker.
Yes. I can speak. Oh, I can talk some ideas.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Professor Erica. Your presentation are really important and open my mind. You talk about threats like fake news, hate speech, and discrimination. The tricks are very important to MILCities too. We talk about cultural barriers to communication, and we got here many today, many challenge in this direction. We got here in this book, Erica, and all the presents from smart cities to MILCities. We got here in the vision of UNESCO. We got here some metrics, some indicators about MILCities, and we need the patronization. We need the paper, the rule. We need to research the rule of the leaders and the leaderships in this transformation, and we need metrics and indicators, parameters about this. I like so much you show the 4 policies of UNESCO. I love it. And the survey, the Caribbean survey. This issue is very important. We need research. We need the comparative research too. For example, China with between China and Caribbean, between Brazil, between Caribbean and others, comparative research. I like so much, but my question for you is, why not the 11 objective sustainable cities in the of the 2030 agenda in your MILCities presentation, like a focus? What do you think?
I love it. I think we should. I think we should, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's continue, please, Professor Emmanuel Comey.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, the next speaker is Professor Dr. Felipe Ortega. First of all, we say that Professor Feliz Ortega is a professor in audience research at the University of Salamanca, member of the Audiovisual Content Observatory, director of the chair RTV University of Salamanca on children, youth, and media. Director of the Master in Audiovisual Communication, Research and Innovation at the University of Salamanca, Spain. He has a doctorate in communication, culture, and education, and a degree in economics. He has foresight his research in audience research, education, and children audience, research methodology, media structure, economics and cultural industry, television, education and communication, publishing, articles and books, national and international. Professor Feliz Ortega, you have the floor.
Thank you for the invitation, Felipe and Emmanuel. I will take my next 7 minutes in order to give to the rest of my colleagues the floor in the given time. I think you're seeing the presentation now. All right. Well, I'm a professor at the University of Salamanca, as I said before, and well, thanks to the organizers and the panelists that are before me, I chair the equivalent to the Spanish to the UK BBC. We have the Radio Televisión Española chair, with researches in the last 3 years, the technologies and habits of consumption associated to children, youth, and media. We do regularly, this is associated to the question that was proposed about the metrics and the indicators, we do regularly a survey with portraits in Spain, a representative survey, and we focus in children, youth, and in children and youth. So in children from 7 to 15 years of age, we have some data where we include some indicators that may be considered as MIL indicators or MILCity indicators. I also happen to be the chair, not anymore the vice chair. I haven't updated, but I'm the chair of a section. The European Union has an association called European Communication Research and Education Association, where the researchers of the continent and some other researchers from other places in the world, we meet every 2 years. The next Congress is now going to be in Ljubljana in Slovenia, now in September, in 2 weeks' time. And there is a section there in Children, Youth and Media, where the researchers analyzing media, education associated to children, youth and media, to the habits of consumption. And we have also, in the last years, also studied and organized some events like the one in Salamanca in 2019. You have maybe the link and you can access to that. The conclusion of our barometer, you have information on the webpage of the chair, but the conclusion of some of the items we research regularly every year in Spain with some of the metrics and indicators, you have them there in the picture. But I would like to concentrate my 7 minutes in some of the questions that Professor Emmanuel and Felipe sent to me. So some of the conclusions associated to the main questions, and also thanking my prior colleagues that have so wonderfully introduced some of the content associated to artificial intelligence and MILCities and the context and the peculiarities of China and Macau as very technological advanced cities, like because in China you have this duality of the urban population that was a little bit of the theme in this seminar, and the urban population, where there are more gaps that, for example, in the paradigm, in the context that we have in some smaller regions and countries like the European Union and that one is Spain, where the differences have now converged. But there's also a need to have a media and information literacy action plan promoted by the different agents. Of course, UNESCO, of course, the European, at the European level, the national, regional, and local level, with a mandatory content and courses to be provided at schools. I'm going to center a lot of the action plan within children, youth, and the educational part. The construction of indicators, we in the European Union with Eurostat and some of the national organisms, we do more regular survey because we have probably more structure, more funding for regular survey. That's what Felipe probably is claiming for UNESCO. We need to do comparative study. We need money. We need research, not a lot of money, but we need money to fund this analysis, to get the right metrics adapted to the regions, to the different regions. So the construction of indicators, as has been said before, but our Chinese colleague, the wonderful presentation, I was having a look at it. The last survey was 2004. That's more than 21 years ago. Not only focus on media, on MILCities or media information literacy, but associated issues. So, of course, we need to start in the different regions or to continue to identify the 0 point of how things are, and then now analyze with representative samples or not so representative samples how things are going associated to the different metrics or to the different key indicators and metrics that in every region is more adequate or is more pertinent, because the questions are important to pose, but we have to adapt it to the idiosyncrasia, to the scenario, to the different places. And we also have to measure countries and cities that have similarities and differences. For example, we can compare the European Union with China. We can compare the United States with China because they are big regional states or regions, right? If you compare a small country like El Salvador with the United States, it's going to be a difficult comparison. So sometimes comparing has also some intentional attributes that has to be considered. Okay, so I think it's pertinent to analyze the urban environments. I'm not going against the rural environments, because a lot of the population on the planet in the different regions lives in urban environments because the country is very extent, like for example China or even the United States, or of course Brazil, taken into that consideration, or some of the African countries where the extension is more massive than that of the small in size in square kilometers of Europe. Okay, We have to analyze point 2 in the urban environments. The minors, and I will focus on minors and adolescents, and I will indicate why. We have to think globally, but act locally and ask different ages. Point 3, these MILCities leaders, I will try to find. I know the leaders are all throughout the age pyramid, but I will focus on children, youth, and schools. It's one of the action plans, because those are the individuals of the future, and of course those are the ones that are more permeable and more in danger and have to be protected. So that will be my recommendation, not of analyzing in the indicator analysis opportunities, risks, and threats for the different age groups, but focusing on maybe on the children. I will indicate why on some of the answers to the questions. The action plan, I will also align it with the public service media, or with the local media or the regional media that has also some funding. So we have to have allies in getting these metrics and getting this action, and that's come with audiovisual content. In point 4, reducing digital inequalities. Of course, we need the school intervention. So we need probably have to associate our activities with getting indicators and metrics and building leaders and finding allies in the public service media, in the educational sector of the teachers, the families, and of course, the students, the children and youth that are using the smart screens, those indicators that we have. 1 screen per child program. Well, this is an old initiative from Negro Ponte, 1 laptop per child program. We've been there almost many years now. It's important, the screen accessibility, the MILCities and the accessibility, but we need to adapt to every single idiosyncrasy and country and timing. Probably 1 screen per children program at the European Union is no longer in need, because everybody's got a screen or many other screens. But in Brazil, it will be a different situation. And probably in China, in the rural areas, you will also have a different situation that has to be adapted. Okay. Let me go to the last one. No. There. Okay. 3 more minutes. Let me check. Okay. So, as I have introduced before, one of the other questions, public service media, I think is a key issue. Of course, you have the British Broadcasting Corporation or Radio Televisión Española in Spain. You have more access. They're more permeable. In some countries, you don't have an open, free, accessible public service media, but you have social networks where you can also feed content. So the leaders could be the existing public service media providers in a different chain, or new leaders that build in this Instagram, TikTokers, jobby things, those leading into the different targets. I will be focusing on children and youth, of course, above the right age. Also, one of the other issues, well, I see here, I write the screen and platforms, right? One of the other issues, point 6, is that how we can take technology and data science into the regulatory section onto the MILCities. The responsibility, doesn't only have to be placed on the children and youth parents or teachers or the rest of the population, but also on the providers. The providers have a responsibility, like the public service media, into providing content that is suitable for eating, for eating. So it's edible audiovisual content for the children, youth, and for the population. So we have to pose through regulatory mandates. It has been done in the European Union. In the United States, it's in the process. In other areas where we compulsory oblige the media industries, not only the television, the traditional televisions, but all the others, to guarantee the safety and the age safety of the content. The artificial intelligence can identify the age of the individual, the identification of age convenience, so that we don't have children below 14 years of age or 15 accessing TikTok, and also that the content that they access at the supermarket, at the audiovisual supermarket, is a proper content. We form on media information literacy on the consumer, but we also protect the consumer, and that has to be a regular mandate. I know this is not very popular in the eyes of the lobbies because it's complicated, but if we don't ask Coca-Cola, for example, in that duty of care to protect the liquid that people are buying at the supermarket, similarly, we have to ask Facebook, TikTok, etc., the public service media, the televisions, to provide the right food that at least that is got an age safety and a content safety, at least for people that are minors, that are being educated in the different spaces. Point 7, training, of course, has been talked here in the MIL, training the autonomy of minors, or training the autonomy of those that have low competence in MIL, and that they have to analyze those or the other things. And one of the key issues that I will always recommend for every government or to be associated is to cite and to read the United Nations Committee Rights of the Child, General Comment 25, where you can have some of the recommendations that are going to be the literate to be fed into the different places. Point 8, media literacy reading and writing program, go back to school, put it in the curricula, as I said in the point before, because that will be, those are the next generation, those are the today generation that also can educate the parents, the grandparents, from the leaders. And those are the new voters. I think that the key issue will come back to the children, to those ones that are now in the dungeon of the free internet with all that hate speech and other dangers, but also very interesting content that provides them the opportunities to learn more, to educate, and to share. And last but not least, I think I have to finish. Let me check the next slide. Well, that's the convention. That is Salamanca, the city where the university is. You're invited to come or organize any event in Salamanca. We can do it online potentially. And that's my last email and everything. If you need the presentation, Emmanuel has a copy. Send it to you. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Felix Ortega, for your accurate presentation. I am very interested in because it is my core research sector. So I will be your student in this matter. Thank you so much for sharing this survey, the conclusion of your mini survey in your country, focus on children. Yeah, today we know that children are in danger, and we as researchers, teachers, parents, country, we need to know how children can use information to be safe. Professor Felipe, have you something to share before we continue? I know we have finished 1 hour. Please.
Quickly, very quickly. I know,
Yes.
my friend. Congratulations, Professor Felix Ortega, my dear friend. Your presentation are wonderful, like ever. Some highlights. We got many questions here in your presentation. I like so much your key indicators and metrics, your suggestion. The other point are MILCities leaders. The MILCities leaders. The name is very, very provocative. I like this name. And you are not analyze about economic factors of the research. We need research, but we need financial resource for this, of course. And we need the organism. We need the international cooperation about this, of course, from UNESCO, UN, and other institutions. And finally, the MIL initiative and your event, of course. We need your event, my friend. And we got, we got a international network about MILCities, and we need your event in this international network. And finally, Spain have many Spains in Spain. Spain have many identities and many cultures, and the comparison and research, comparative research of these identities is very rich. Is a base for many others insights. And I got for you and for all the people, for all authors here, one invitation. My invitation to all to write a chapter in the next book about MILCities. I need your contribution, Professor. I need the contribution, of course, the Professor Adriana, the Professor Caroline, of course, the Professor, my dear friend too, Daniela, Oh, my dear, super dear friend, Wally or Wallace. Wallace is serious, né? And of course, my dear, super dear friend too of Professor Dennis Babu. And me, the Professor me too. Thank you.
Thanks for your word. I will pass that one to the next ones. We're short of
Okay, my
time.
friend.
We
Okay.
continue working. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Professor Felipe, Professor Felice, for your contribution. It is valuable. Yeah, now we continue with Miss Daniela Calderon Potter. Professor Daniela Calderon Potter is an architect and public policy expert specializing in cultural heritage, preservation, and urban quality of life enrichment. With a PhD in public administration, she integrates interdisciplinary approach to urban planning, emphasizing sustainability, accessibility, and equality. Daniela has led projects that transform cities into inclusive, resilient space, collaborating with government, international organizations, and local community. She actively participated in global forums, sharing insight on urban intelligence, sustainability, and infrastructure. Her work focuses on developing smart cities that address current challenge and anticipate the future need, the quality of life while respecting cultural identity. Professor Daniela, you have the floor.
Hi, nice to meet you to everyone. I'm glad to be here. Well, I wanted to tell you that Puebla, it's in Mexico, and it is World Heritage City. So our presentation and all the actions are based on culture. So here are some examples of what we are doing, especially me. So with an area work with Felipe, so I'm gonna show you. Of course, we are followed the metrics from libraries, roads, urban planning, transportation, government, public institutions, health services, culture, tourism, creation, education, associations, media and communication, security, environmental and sustainability, children, so early women, LGBT, and all the metrics are integrated. So we are working in some specific projects that involve all the metrics. For example, the master plan of the neighborhood of San Francisco, the origin that implements in inhabitants all the below worldwide network MILCities by permanent actions, like the intervention of libraries, the implementing of infrastructure, culture, security, and the education main programs. So, for example, we have here network libraries, that is a foundational neighborhoods here. And of course, we want to involve the culture because Mexico is a multi-diversity city. So we want to show by the culture how we can work with the people, with the children, with technology, data, and media. So, for example, we have in public libraries some materials, resources with media collections, digital blogs, massive use of internet, development of digital library, use of ebooks, readers, e-readers, and of course, we work with online topics. We have a museum and workshop with arts and crafts. As you know, Mexico has a lot of arts and crafts. So we want to work with artisans that it's a big value from Mexico. So we have detonating projects in the Museum of San Francisco, and we work with the children, with the people that involves like a cultural house. And there we can find some media, technology, and security items to work with. Also, we have a website from this plan that is called the Master Plan of San Francisco that involves of all of these metrical, and it's also the Master Plan infrastructure. Here they can know, they have the knowledge about that we are working with. Also, we develop in PER the cultural center in La Carmela in a vulnerable part of the city. And here we implement the topic with technology, with artisans, with children. We have a public library, and it become also a city museum inside of the city. We promote the knowledge of the city and the water and the device of generation from electricity, energy. Also, we emphasize heritage knowledge about the hydroelectric industry in Puebla that is the base of the economy. So we develop this for the people to know the history of the city. I have two screens, so I have to be changing. So also we implement a meal cinema in the place to get the people involved and interested in what we are doing. So we think media cinema, it was interesting because the people gets involved in the knowledge of what we are doing by going to the cinema. So we promote intercultural dialogue between diverse regions, and the didactic resource is the male cinema. We exposure various short films that talk about the social inequalities, migration, and social exclusion. And we have an annual film cycle is proposed with material related to the meal approach. We have some meal workshops about digital literacy that provides facilities of the cultural center designed with local children. As well, we involve adults, and it's a low income people who live in the area. So we tried them to involve and work also with us. So they feel the place, the cultural center is of them. So they work with them, they work with us, and they feel they have to be secure. They have to improve the security by their actions. So it's circuit work. Also, we have an objective that it's appropriate of technology, the use of technology and development of ability to discern information. They select also the books they want to share with the people. We have another work, another project, and here we have the indicators that we are working on, 3, 5, 7. With children, with government, institutions, citizenships. Also, we work with associations and also with UNESCO, of course. We have a program that supports 50 initiatives present with artisans, entrepreneurs, and organizations with developed business and commercial technical capacities that allow them to generate innovation and design in process of their products, so they can involve the economy resource in what they are doing. And we share with them the ability to send the product, to get some platforms in internet so they can sell in all the world. Also, the program provides knowledge of the tools that we are applying, innovation, business management, and collaboration. We have also another platform that is training on e-commerce for artisans, that is a big value here in Mexico. And besides contents, project e-commerce, it contains the e-commerce training. So we share the tools to sell in all the world, and with platforms like Amazon, Mercado Libre, that are platforms from Mexico to sell in another parts. And also the participants are successful management on their websites. Also, as you know, in Mexico, we have a lot of archaeological sites. So we work with a successful tool that is archaeoastronomy. And this involves a lot of continuous knowledge of the environment. The annual program is academic and scientific practical activities taking place in different venues and online. And we work with specialists, with Scientologists in architecture, archaeological, anthropological topics that we show to the people how we can integrate all these to know about the cultural and Scientology, and it's a lot of things that we are working in workshops so the people can get involved in technological tools so they are informed of what we can share or we can get. So it's a scientific tool. So people is very happy with this project. We also, as we know, Mexico has different languages and ethnic languages, modern languages. We have more than 69 indigenous groups in all Mexico. Here in Puebla, we have 7. So as we are a heritage city and personal conservation and heritage conservation, so we work in multilingual programs, also based in indicators, and we have a work plan that is called Alas y Raíces with the Federation. Cultural development of free and creative childhood and adolescence in the state of Puebla. And the objective is promote the cultural agency of the childhood and the youth from development and the instrumentation that encourage artistic languages exploration and the cultural diversity. So we proposed the publication of books with this topic. Here are 3 of the most important with international recognizes. For example, Arrullo de los Ciérnagas has a recognition from Italy, and Amo el Canto de Sensontle has a recognized from, I think, France. Also, we work on official media with workshops, website, and social network, and we are conform a very big platform with all these programs so people get involved and they have the knowledge of what we are doing. Also, because of the questions that Emmanuel and Felipe sent to us, it's crucial for the advancing to work with some topics with monitoring and evaluation, transparency, accountability, sustainable planning and management. And also we work with inclusion and citizen participation, innovation for sustainable development, metrics and programs tracking, global cooperation, and knowledge sharing. So this is all my information, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Daniela, for your presentation. You have focused your presentation on the summary of many field work you have done in your country.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have developed many sector and you have applied the indicators to measure what you have done. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Professor Felipe?
No. I have many ideas, but we haven't time. And I will suggest the professor the Professor Caroline have a problem. She had to go. Please, if it's possible for all, the Professor Caroline can speak now.
Okay, we have also our colleague Wallace who tell me that the office will close those in some minutes. Yes, I will give the floor to Professor Carolina before let me introduce her. Yeah, Professor Carolina Escudero, PhD is a social psychologist. Let me, and major researcher specializing in the intersection of major emotion and mental health. She held a master's in sexual difference from the University of Barcelona and bachelor's in journalism from the University of Robert Schumann, France. Do you speak well English, French? You are welcome. Yeah. Yeah, Professor Carolina is the academic director of the Barcelona program at the University of Missouri and teaches at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. She is a member of the EIAMCA, LASA, and the UNESCO MIL network and specialize in CBT and Gestalt therapy. Yeah, from German. Yes. Her research on focus dispersing in Spain inspired the documentary How Do I Tell You I Love You? Professor Carolina, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your introduction and for your invitation. And thanks to all my colleagues for letting me present before I leave. I promise to be very fast. Please let me know if you can see my presentations right now in order that I can proceed.
Yeah, if we
Yeah.
can enlarge.
Yes, I will enlarge.
Yeah, presentation mode. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for that. And well, this presentation, as you can read, is based on emancipation. And I am following Paulo Freire for the ones that are in Brazil and for all of us that we love education. So the idea of emancipation plays a central role in modern education and theories and practices, right? So by this presentation, my goal is to answer what type of strategies they can be employed to foster collaboration between city leaders, educators, and policymakers in promoting media information literacy cities. Okay, so introduction, emancipation, and then my conclusions. Okay, so we know that media information literacy focuses on various forms of communication and information. New technologies and media interconnect the world and developing new communications skills. But we need to go farther in order to bring more results, as the rest of my colleagues they were sharing today, opportunities and also collaborative networks, right? And this is one of the main points here. But by doing that in different cities and by reading all this amazing stuff, I could read and also be in connection with challenges. It's not about all about roses and amazing experiences, right? So as you can see here, there are cultural barriers, there are differences in the ethnicities. So when we are talking about differences, we talk as well about different perceptions about the world, right? Different ways to present things where we can have stereotypes, prejudice, and and differences. And also there are studies that they're talking as well about these challenges connected with intercultural cities and the need to advance into an intercultural dialogue. Okay, so by taking in consideration that this need for an intercultural dialogue, I am advancing with Paulo Freire, right? Because Paulo Freire is bringing to us this idea of a dialogue as a principle to construct, but also a dialogue in order to look for answers for the different types of challenges that we can have, okay? So following Freire, I will point out as a main point that emancipation. And for him, emancipation is like, you know, through a conscious raising, like that many educators and students, they can grow, okay? They can grow, they can be free, and they can make changes. But also, we are having here education, and the education is connected with media information literacy cities here, but it's in the way that I am presenting here the idea of education presented by Freire. Education as a community. Education by taking in consideration the difficult circumstances, the differences, okay? And then Freire is always talking about knowledge connected to dialogue, okay? For Freire, dialogue is essential for cooperation and also for overcoming divisions and differences. But also, he's talking about horizontal relationships. On Freire's work also represent the communicative politics of hope. So when we are talking about education, we are taking this connection of hope, but also this idea of trust. We need to trust our professor. We need to trust our leaders. And in order, before we can trust, we need to see the other person reactions. We need to feel comfortable with the other person. But also, as many different studies from media information literacy and cities they were presenting, we need to have, and leaders as well, a critical perspective, right? So the critical perspective, according to Freire, is going to this consciousness rising, okay? So many educators and students, they need to take in consideration, they need to participate, they need to be aware of their differences, but also to develop critical perspectives about what is going on, what do they need to change, and what do they do not like, okay? So, but then we have the importance of collaboration. And also this idea is like, just as we always evolve as individuals, societies, we are immersed in a process of becoming more knowledgeable about information and literacy and digital information. But also in this collaboration, I added the do-it-yourself. And in this collaboration and in this doing-yourself, I would like to introduce as well Jacques Rancière, right? Because Freire and Rancière, they are bringing us this idea of education in different contexts that we cannot compare if we are not taking in consideration the different environments, the different cultures, etc. So for leaders, the recommendations by Freire and also by Rancière, they can be very helpful. So the conclusions for this presentation is that education, yes, can be presented as emancipatory for leaders, and the idea of promoting critical and perspectives is a way to liberate awareness, but also the conditions for excellence in leaderships, okay? So the idea is to allow people to participate more, but also to trust. People, they are not going to participate if they don't trust. So here we have this emotional aspect to take in consideration. And as you can see in the next points, I am talking about the emotional well-being, to being more open, but also the importance of dialogue, a dialogue that we don't have a part that is more dominant than the other one. This idea of horizontal relationships is quite important if we are considering the idea of a great leadership with a great impact in different cities. So that was my first presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Carolina, for your exciting presentation. Yeah, to summarize, I can say in conclusion that you have focused your communication on 5 key words: education, knowledge and dialogue, orientation, relationship, critical perspective, and collaborative. And to finish, you have tell us that we need to promote, to create, to participate, and to provide security so we can bear peace and bear also emotional well-being among people. And finally, you can dialogue and work together. Professor Felipe, have you something to add before we continue? We have 3 persons to present also. Thank you so much, Professor Carolina. Yeah.
3 words, 3 words. Wonderful presentation, of course. But I have many ideas, but we haven't time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Yeah, please, thank you so much, Professor. With your agreement, I will introduce our colleague Wallace, who is about to close. The door will close in some minutes. So, Mr. Wallace Shikunge is the founder and executive director of the Center of Media and Information Literacy in Nairobi, Kenya. With over 17 years of experience in media and communication, he held the degrees in education from Kenyatta University and communication from the University of Nairobi. Shikunge is a consulting editor, technical writer, and he has taught journalism, mass communication, public relationship at various universities and institutions in Kenya. He works with organizations like UNESCO, Diwa Academy, and African Union Commission, focusing on media and information literacy. He also curates the Africa Media Literacy Council, and he is a member of the UNESCO Africa May Alliance Committee. Mr. Shikunge, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me, please confirm?
Yes.
Cheers. Thank you so much. I'm taking as a little bit some kind of a different approach from my previous presentations on this series of discussions on MILCities, because primarily I would say that the concept of a city in Africa is new. I believe you would agree with me because Africans, we are bucolic people, we are rural guys. Our lifestyles from the beginning were rural, so the concept of cities, urbanization, is a new concept that is still evolving. But nevertheless, that forms the basis of my presentation because while we are talking about the metrics of MILCities in Africa, we are still dealing with the foundation. I would categorize the MILCities metrics as developed by Professor Felipe and others in that thematic area. I could categorize them as 2. There would be the very foundational MILCities metrics, which deal with the conditions of living, and then there could be the secondary metrics, where we are talking to things like digitalization, artificial intelligence, and stuff like that. Probably as we develop the MILCities concept, we would be able to distinguish between those 2. So basically is it not moving?
No.
Screen. Great. So I'm saying that urbanization in Africa is a new phenomenon, is emerging, and it presents both challenges and opportunities, of course, given that Africa's urban populations are expected to double by the year 2050 to reach about 1.3 billion residents. Africa already has over 1 billion people, so you'll find that almost 3/4 of the same population will be in the cities in the next 25 years. That is quite phenomenal. So it means that the issues like infrastructure deficit, housing shortages, and environmental sustainability will pose a challenge and require innovative solutions. You can imagine with that number of people in the cities in Africa. So we'll have issues to do with even food security and also the safety, which is also part of a MILCities matrix. So therefore, African cities are emerging as economic and innovation hubs as the preferred living spaces for younger populations, highlighting the need for strategic planning, including the adaptation of MILCities metrics. So if we're going to have more than 50%, actually 75% of populations in Africa living in cities, then we have no choice but to adapt the MILCities metrics so that the residency in the city can be sustainable and livable. So what's the challenges here include African cities and need for stronger institutions, comprehensive housing policies, and effective urban planning. I talked about the foundations of living in a city, which basically are like the basic human needs. So without robust governance frameworks and clear policy direction, urban areas have become a fast developed, leaving millions of residents to live in overcrowded, substandard housing without access to basic services. Those who have visited cities in Africa, probably, if you have taken a tour, you are going to see very distinct areas where there is extreme poverty and other areas which have medium income, and then other areas which are quite opulent. But the majority of the city residents are actually living in those substandard housing, and they lack basic amenities, which now speaks to when we talk about digitalization and the access to information and all those kind of things. You find that these people are grappling with the very basic needs. They are now even alienated from the rest of the world where it is moving. So the chaotic urban flow not only depends social inequalities, but also places immense strain on natural resources, exacerbating environmental challenges. We cannot talk about all that big population in a city without the impact it has on the environment. So basically, the issues of climate change and how it affects urban dwelling comes into bearing. Again, we're talking about over 70% of African cities are now facing the challenge of climate change. I think I've just mentioned that. And it has led to increased slum populations, poverty, and inequality. Inequality here is not only economic, but also in terms of information, when we are talking about democratization of information, and for people to be competent, then they have to have access to information and also be able to express themselves freely. Another aspect of the life in the city in Africa is the informal employment, which dominates at a whopping 85.8% of all jobs being informal. This again speaks to sustainability and the quality of life. So when we talk about weak institutions and poor urban planning, then we have dysfunctional, I think we have talked about dysfunctional housing and informal settlement and environmental degradation. That is a repetition. My apologies for that. So the solution here I'm suggesting here is that the MILCities approach, where we need to address crucial foundational issues and advocate for a coordinated approach to urban development that prioritizes the establishment of sound institutions, inclusive strategies, and sustainable urban planning. One of the ways of doing this is probably giving the urban dwellers access to information that is empowering, so that they may know what they are getting themselves into and how they can also improve their lot by articulating their needs and sustainably, or rather having solutions to them. So by doing so, we can create cities that are not only livable, but also sustainable and environmentally resilient. And these are the MILCities we are advocating for. So for me, I think I'll pick two metrics for MILCities here. Cities that address issues to do with proper housing conditions. We're talking about health as a metric. Before we get to and environmental sustainability, before we get to the secondary issues that have to do with things like culture, things have to do with libraries, for example. Let's talk about transport, because it also takes how do people make their own movements within the cities. Among the around 12 or 13 or so MILCities metrics, you'll find that the very foundation ones are the ones that are at stake in Africa. So for sustainable MILCities in Africa, we are talking about the rapid urbanization. That cities in Africa require investments to fill housing deficits, provide equitable access to basic services and infrastructure. They also need to decrease the carbon footprint so that we invest more on green infrastructure and clean energy in cities. By investing in infrastructure and managing urban growth, governments can enhance job opportunities, quality of life, for example, having industrial parks, zoning, service delivery, financing innovations, etc. And also properly managed urbanization can also benefit the environment through improved productivity and green technologies towards achieving the net zero carbon in Africa. So in conclusion, I think much of the information here is from UN Habitat, the UN body that deals with urbanization. It's headquartered, I think, in Nairobi, if I'm not wrong. And they are going to have very soon an Africa Urban Forum in this September. I think it should be this week, where the stakeholders are coming up to strategize on Africa's rapid urbanization and urban development. I think in future there is need to synergize with UN Habitat so that proponents of media and information literacy cities can also make their presentations, or rather can share their ideas with these other stakeholders as we move from smart cities to MILCities. So the forum, of course, is to foster transformative dialogue on urbanization, housing, climate change, and resilience, guided by MILCities principles. If we were to make a presentation there, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals, the African Union's Agenda 2063, which has envisions a very prosperous and interconnected Africa. Just to mention before I say thank you, in Kenya, we are now upgrading a lot of former towns, former provincial headquarters to cities. Of course, they are using different metrics from MILCities. And as I spoke to my friend and mentor, Professor Felipe, some time back, I know he has been to Mozambique, probably Angola. When he is done with the Portuguese-speaking countries, you can invite him here in Nairobi so that we can speak to the UN Habitat and also see how can we get these cities which are coming up in Kenya. We now have five cities spread across the areas where there was a lot of colonial activities. It is along that stretch across the country. So there are some areas which do not have cities, but then the cities here, like I mentioned, have different kind of metrics. And I think it is time that we come up. We also discuss with them on how to adopt media and information literacy cities and metrics so that we move not only from the foundations, but also to the lofty ideals of including, and because we cannot be left behind on AI, the effect of AI and how we can leverage AI to enhance the quality of life of cities in Africa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wallace Shikunge, for your presentation. Yeah, in 2 words, I would say thank you for the accurate information you have shared with us. We said that we have challenge in Africa: climate change, disaster, democratization of information. Before you implement MILCities in our continent, we need to focus on democracy. We need to change this kind of attitude so information can be accurate. Thank you so much for your presentation. According to the time, we return on after. Yeah, we have 2 speakers. Apologize for this time. Apologize. Yeah. We have now our next speaker, Professor Adriana Black. Professor Adriana is a full professor at the School of Economics, Business, Administration, Accounting, and Agricultural Science at the University of Sao Paulo. and project coordinator at FIE Business School. She holds a PhD in electronical energy from Unicamp and master's degree in a computer science from USP. Her expertise include artificial intelligence, quantitative methods applied to decision making in management and active learning methodology. She share the research and innovation community at FEA USP and lead research project focusing on faculty development and digital educational technology. Professor, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I have a problem with my jaw, and so I can talk much. I
Yes.
made a recording with another voice, so I
Yes.
can share my main ideas with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Can share.
Okay. The presentation about 7 minutes, only 7 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. A minute, because
Yeah.
I need to come.
Okay. Yes.
Do you listen now?
No.
Now? No, listen?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay. There's no voice.
Problem?
Yeah. There's no voice, but it is not a problem. You can share this information with our panelists.
Okay.
Hmm.
A little time.
Okay. I'll try it. Yeah.
Oh, I can send for the, oh, I don't know what's the sun. It's not function because it's, oh, because in my, I will try now. Oh, a little time. Share with, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not possible to share sound in this presentation. I don't know what happened. I saw this. Okay. The sound is not. Okay, no problem. Maybe I can send the other people about the presentation.
It's okay. It's okay. No problem at all. No problem. You can send the presentation for us. No problem at all.
Okay, okay.
Emmanuel, you are on mute.
Your microphone is.
It's on mute.
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
I wasn't. Oh, sorry about it. Yeah, we have our last panelist, Dr. Professor Dinesh Babu. He is an assistant professor and vice chairperson at the Department of Visual Media and Communication in Amerita Visual Vidapeshimpa Koshi Campus. Yes. With over 7 years of teaching and 13 years of rich experience, his expertise lie in mass media communication, environment and health communication, new media and development communication, actively guiding PhD candidate. Dr. Babu has published extensively on media and social change. He is a member of academic association, including the AI for Media Global Research Association and UNESCO Media Alliance. He has also organized numerous events on media literacy, misinformation, and sustainability, impacting media studies globally. Dr. Professor Dinesh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Professor Emmanuel and Professor Philip for giving this wonderful opportunity. And good morning, afternoon, evening for everyone. It is a privilege to present on the topic of how to make leaders with indicators and metric of MIL, cities and goals of 2030 agenda. And it's very happy the intersection of media and information literacy and local governance and how this synergy can help us achieve a sustainable development goals in Indian cities of 2030. That is my area in which I'm going to discuss. And as India continues to urbanize, our cities are becoming epicenters of economic, social, and cultural transformation. However, with this rapid development comes the need of information and empowered leaders who can navigate the complexities of digital age and leverage the power of information to drive a sustainable growth. This is where the media and information literacy, or MIL, plays a crucial role. And my presentation is categorized into contextualizing of MIL in India, MIL as a tools for effective governance, integrating a MIL with the 2030 agenda, indicators and metrics of MIL in Indian cities, case studies and best practices, strategies for building a MIL-enabled leadership, challenges and opportunities, and conclusion. So moving with the contextualizing of MIL in India. To begin, let us contextualizing of MIL India within a landscape of India, like promoting an ethical uses of information, enabling individuals to make informed decisions in a country diverse as India, where the digital diverse still exist. MIL become a powerful tool to bridge the gap in knowledge and understanding. For local leaders, MIL is indispensable. It equips them with the ability to sift through a vast amount of information, discern fact from fiction, and use this knowledge to guide their communities effectively. In the digital age where the misinformation can spread rapidly, the importance of MIL cannot be overstated. It empowers the leaders to build a trust, engage with the citizens meaningfully, and create policies that are rooted in reality rather than rhetoric. And MIL is a tool of effective governance. MIL is more than just a skill. It is a tool of effective governance when local leaders are media and information literate. For instance, by undertaking a nuances of digital communication, they can more effectively address the misinformation, engage with citizens on pressing issues, and implement the policies that are responsive to need of the people. Considering as an example for a tool of effective governance, Mumbai fight against COVID-19 misinformation. During COVID-19 pandemic, the municipal corporation launched a media literacy campaign to combat the misinformation about the virus. They used the social media platforms, local influencers, and traditional media to spread accurate information, debunk the myths, and encourage vaccination. This effort showcased how media and information literacy can play a critical role in effective crisis management and governance. And the second tool of effective governance happens in e-governance in Kerala. Kerala has been a leader in implementing an e-governance initiative with a program called Akshaya project, which aim to provide a digital literacy to citizens. This initiative has empowered local leaders and citizens alike, enabling them to access government services online and participate more actively in governance process. The success of e-governance in Kerala demonstrates how MAL can enhance the decision making and citizen engagement. And moving towards the integrating of MAL with the agenda of 2030. So the next critical step in integrating MAL within 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, they provide a comprehensive framework for addressing the most pressing challenges of our time. By aligning MAL initiatives with the SDGs, particularly those relevant to urban areas such as quality education, sustainable cities, and communities, reduced inequalities, we can create a roadmap of achieving these goals in Indian cities. And here the integrating MILCities with 2030 agenda, quality education, that is SDG 4 and ML in Indian schools. The Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, has introduced the media and information literacy as part of its curriculum in certain schools. This initiative is aligned with SDG 4, aiming to provide students with the skills needed to critically analyze the media content and information by integrating a MIL into an education system. India is taking steps towards empowering the next generation to contribute to sustainable development. And sustainable cities and communities, that is SDG 11, smart city mission. Under India's smart city mission, cities like Pune and Bhubaneswar have incorporated a MIL into their urban planning strategies. These cities use a data-driven approaches to improve urban infrastructure and governance, while also engaging citizens through a digital platform. By promoting a MIL among local leaders and citizens, these cities are working towards more sustainable resilience urban communities. And indicators of metrics MIL in Indian cities, like digital literacy programs in rural India. The Digital India Initiative has launched several digital literacy programs such as Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Sakshetra, aimed to making a 6 crore rural households to digital literate. Metrics from these programs such as number of people trained and their subsequent use of digital services can be used to measure the effectiveness of MIL initiatives in Indian cities and rural areas. In global aspects, from smart cities to MILCities metrics inspired by the UNESCO's vision based on Professor Philip and Dr. Alton Grizzle. The 13 indicators give which are respective metrics to bring understandability towards the vision of MILCities. And there are some case studies which I have to note down, point out here is like the best practices of MIL literacy, that is Delhi air quality management. The government used the MIL principles to engage the citizens to combating air pollution. Through a combination of media campaigns, mobile apps, and community engagement, cities were educated about the sources of pollution and how they could contribute to reducing it. The initiative demonstrates how MIL can use to mobilize citizens for environment causes, aligning with SDG 11. And Chennai flood management, that is in 2015, social media and mobile networks plays a crucial role in rescuing operation, where this experience highlighting the importance of MIL in disaster management and potential of MIL to enhance community resilience. And challenges and opportunities is like bridging the digital divide in northeastern India, because the northeastern India states of India face significant challenges due to a digital divide. However, initiatives like Internet Sati program, which trains the rural women to use the internet, are helping to bridge this gap. By promoting MIL in these regions, there is an opportunity to empower local communities and leaders, ensuring that even remote areas can contribute the benefit and India progress towards SDG. And there are certain aspects which is giving out initiatives which has happened in Kerala government, that is towards the digital media literacy program. And even we initiate a lot of fact-checking workshops for the college students, where they will be looking over the misinformation or disinformation. And we recently released a book on media optimization, where we discussed more about the media and information literacy, which is going to create a social change. And we had a special tabloid, which is created by the post-graduation students of Amrita, which is directly connecting with the UNESCO's MIL week of 2022. And this is a tabloid, a screenshot, where we will be discussing about misinformation, spreading of social media misinformation, and how we have to align the gaps of digital divide. Those all things has been discussed in this tabloid. And we had a very large seminar on media in urban development, where information dissemination on sustainable growth. So those all things will bring out new ideologies towards achieving this SDG goals of 2030, which aligned with the bringing out leaders for future. And thank you for the opportunities given by Professor Philip and Emmanuel for this particular webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Denish, for your communication. We are honored to have heard you today and your focus on MILE as a tool for effective government. And you have approached many field experience, such as Kerala as a leader in implementing MIL to fight for against misinformation, sustainable cities and communication, and you use this to promote, and you have shared also a study case of setting best practice in New Delhi, and you use it. People use mail to combat pollution, and you have created a mobile application for people to use information in order to combat some problem. Thank you so much for sharing this information with us. I will let Professor Felipe to jump to our communication and ask people to contribute. Yes. You are mute. Yeah. You are mute. You are mute. No. It doesn't work. Okay.
Sorry so much. Sorry. Well, in my final words, this is a very important webinar. We got here many highlights, many ideas, different visions, different ideas, different experience from China, from Jamaica, from Brazil, from Mexico, from India. But we got here too a new line to research and a new line to grow together. We got metrics, we got indicators, parameters, and of course we got our trust in the solutions and in the focus for the common development. In my opinion, this is the principal or focal point. We got different challenges in Jamaica, in Brazil, in Mexico, in China, in India, or in Canada, of course. I lost the Canada, but in different countries, we got the focal point, the MILCities. This model of cities is the future, in my opinion. Smart cities is not the future. Or sustainable cities, different models of cities got very important factors, but MILCities is the evolution of the other models of cities. This is a very important, and we need new research, new surveys, and new contributions to all. Thank you so much for your presence, for your contributions, and of course, for your soul. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Felipe, for your word. But I would like to know that it is not your last word. I will ask every panelist to give us one word to finish this session. We'll continue, we'll begin with Professor Erica. One word.
My word would just be opportunity. There's so much opportunity for us to work together, for us to learn from one another, for us to leverage where we have been successful, and for us to collaborate in the future. So I'm just thrilled to have had this opportunity and just look forward to the opportunities that we're going to create together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Erica. Yeah, Professor Adriana, in one word.
it's very important to do the digital for children, because the children today is a quarter of global, but they are of future. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Adriana. Children are the future of our universe. I can say they are the present because they use internet done way. So we need to focus on their well-being and how they can use information to grow and to be protected. Thank you so much. Yeah, we continue with Professor Daniela. Yes.
Well, I think I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to share our work. So I think it's a great idea to share the good practices, and the police makers are so glad to share this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniela. We are glad also to share this moment with you, your word, and we need to continue this collaboration for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Professor Dinesh.
The one word which is called stakeholder engagement and policy integration, where we can integrate into a broader education and urban policies, fostering a collaborative environment that enhances media and information literacy with stakeholders engagement. Yes.
Thank you so much. Collaboration is very important in this one word today. If we collaborate, you can grow together and build a new world where peace will be the key and the roof of our life. Thank you so much. And we finish with Professor Min Yang from China. We need one word from you.
Yes, I would like to choose the word inspiring for this webinar because I heard a lot of contextualization of the concept of media and information literacy, and very happy to hear lots of similarities among us, among different perspectives, and the common sense, and also the differences, because only when we realize the difference and we can start from respecting that and integrating that into the different context, and then find a good approach to collaborate and coordinate with each other better. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Min Yang, for your one word. Collaboration is inspiration to go ahead. Together, we grow, we work together, so our world will be better. Professor Felipe, what is your last word before?
Yes, my last word is we need grow together, and we'll be better cities and better societies. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here together with us. We are very happy to share this moment. I send you my greeting from Canada, from America. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Apologize for this moment. We have taken time more than we expect, but apologize.
You are right, Professor. Don't worry. Everything is okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's go to the live, my friend.
Yes.
Let's go to the live to change everything.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Min. Thank you. Dear Professor Komi Konako, Emmanuel